If you're starting a garden or food forest with poor or sandy soil, I totally understand the struggle. This is what we started with at Goldifarms, but in less than 5 years, we were able to take this backyard full of sand and turn it into this. And this is Goldifarms, a suburban food forest on the central coast of California in Zone 9A. Thank you for joining us on this journey as we learn to live more in harmony with nature wherever you happen to find yourself. So the thing about sandy soil is, compared to clay, it is relatively easy to work with. It's easier to dig holes, it's easier to amend it, it drains well, which is great for many plants and fruit trees. But that also means it doesn't hold moisture. And if you're somewhere that receives little rain like we do, we get about 19 inches of rain each year, it can create some anxiety in the summer. Additionally, if you're watering a lot and your plants look stunted, it's likely that they aren't getting enough nutrients, because unlike most clay soils, sandy soils tend to be very nutrient poor. Sandy soils need a lot of amendment to support life. Now, there's a lot of info out there on amending your soil, planting cover crops, mulching, and all those things are really important. But we did something I've rarely seen done elsewhere that has been a game changer for our food forest. And before we did this, I used to spend sleepless nights fearing that I had created this food forest that would cost a fortune to keep watered. But now we've been able to capture rainwater, save on watering, and ensure our plants have a steady supply of nutrients by adding what we call a water battery. And we did it practically for free. Here's what we did. We dug down and built up berms, and then filled our paths in between with several feet of wood chips. If you've watched my videos, you'll know our journey involves some trial and error, but this final result has been quite successful, and my goal is to help you benefit from what we've learned so you can skip some of the challenges we faced. Here are 3 major benefits of this design. First, the process of building these berms aerated the soil, releasing compaction so that the soil was fluffier and easier for plant roots to spread and grow. This is similar to a double dig garden. Secondly, since most of our rain falls during December, January, and February, raising the plants on berms prevents their roots from becoming waterlogged, which is a common issue with fruit trees during heavy rains. This is also a great strategy for clay soils too, because they can get quite waterlogged. And finally, even though our trees are planted up on these berms, they have no trouble finding the water battery. These common drawings you see of trees, they just aren't a true depiction of how most trees actually grow. In reality, tree roots can easily grow 3 times deeper than a tree is tall. Imagine that, that's huge, and they spread well beyond the tree's canopy. Now, as the wood chips in our paths or water battery break down, they create a nutrient-rich layer that holds up to 10 times its weight in water. So naturally, it stores moisture right where the trees need it, and without the need for large water tanks or manually moving water. In fact, we are working on a little gutter project right now to get all the rainwater that lands on our roof into this water battery. And I wish I had done this in the beginning, but I'm just really glad we're doing it now. When our heavy rains come to an end, we add about 6 inches of wood chips to the water battery. And you might think this would build up over time, but the wood chips actually decompose quickly and get absorbed right into that hungry, sandy soil below. We also compost food scraps and chop and drop prunings directly into these paths and cover them with wood chips to continually feed our forest. Now, that's just one strategy that we have to capture and hold nutrients and water in our forest, but we also plant densely, and this is really important here where it's hot and dry. We've chosen trees to create a light shade canopy to reduce evaporation, and every time we plant, we amend the soil with a 50-50 mix of compost and native soil. For example, if we dig out a wheelbarrow of soil, we replace half of it with compost, mix it up, and plant the tree with that blend. We then top it off with our vermicompost and water it in with our worm tea. In the spring, we feed our trees by adding a few inches of compost directly on top of the soil. Now, you may have heard the phrase, soil is built from the top down. And this puzzled me until one morning while making coffee, it finally clicked. Think of compost like coffee grounds, and think of rain like the boiling water. When it rains, water seeps through the compost, grabbing onto nutrients and pulling them deeper into the soil, much like how water percolates through coffee grounds to brew a cup of coffee. This process naturally enriches the soil from the top down, allowing nutrients to reach the roots of your plants over time. Even wood chips break down and percolate nutrients deep into your soil, and having a thick layer of wood chips also prevents unwanted weeds and reduces evaporation. Now, even though we've done all this, we still water. Our established acacias and native plants no longer need watering in the summer, but we do water shallow-rooted plants, annuals, and some fruit trees with a drip system that runs for about 20 minutes twice a week. And it's important that young plants get regular watering, especially during dry spells, and even more so in sandy soil. We water all our babies by hand with a hose to ensure they're getting proper attention. These are just a few methods that have helped us grow so much in this really sandy soil with relatively little water in a very hot climate. In fact, it's over 100 degrees as I'm filming this, and it's October. But regardless, I hope these tips help you unlock abundance on whatever land you're called to steward. If you're interested in starting your own food forest, I've included resources below to help you get started. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you next time at Goldifarms.